Okay, the locker room for Rutgers is now open. We'll open the press conference with questions for the student athletes first, please. Right here in second row.
Kahleah, how are you after that time on the floor last night?
I'm okay, thank you. I just had some cramps and it was in my legs and my hips, so I was just really it was just really hurting, but I'm much better now.
That happens to you a lot. Is there anything you do to guard against that, or you just accept that's probably going to happen with as hard as you play?
Yeah, I don't know if that comes with playing hard because I guess that'll happen often, but I got an IV and I feel much better. I've been hydrating, drinking water and Gatorade and stuff like that, so I'm feeling much better.
In the front, and one other thing, if you could please just identify yourself and your affiliation, if you could, please. Thanks.
KeyStarGNJ.com. Betnijah, can you just talk about this being an underdog in this matchup? Do you relish that?
Yeah, we are the underdog right now, being the lower seed. But, we accept it, and we're ready to play no matter who we're playing.
Second row.
Ryan Dunleavy, Asbury Park Press. Betnijah, both girls, do you feel like this team is better suited to play UConn? I know you're better on offense than maybe you guys were 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Do you feel like you're better suited for this?
I think so. I think we're definitely much more of an offensive threat. We've all done a great job of expanding our games and adding to what we do. So I think we'll definitely be a better matchup than we have been in the past.
Yeah, I think we've gotten a lot better over the years, and we're always going to be that defensive team, but I think offensively we've definitely grown, so it's going to be good.
Can you talk about being every game now could be your last one at Rutgers? Do you look at things differently when you walk into an arena? Do you take time to notice things more? How do you deal with the end of what could be your career?
I try not to think about it like that. I try to just, obviously it's somewhere in my head that, this could possibly be. So, from now on out, and even as I've done before, I just try to go out and play hard and just do each and everything that I can do.
Second row.
Both girls, could you talk about what went into blowing up President Obama's bracket like that last night?
We were just, it wasn't to be hateful or anything. It was just, we were just having a little fun, especially because, he picked the other team from New Jersey. And it was just fun.
Kahleah, your thoughts?
Although I missed the video, it was fun. It was just fun to just have something humorous to come out of that. So.
You guys were aware before the game that he picked Seton Hall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We were waiting on it.
Anything else for student athletes? Pat?
For both players, what is it about UConn that you have seen that makes them so good, and what is it that you guys can do to kind of neutralize what they do? They're so good for outside, inside.
For one, they're a very unselfish team, and they make great passes, and they're always looking for each other, and they just make good reads and things. So I think if we just come out and just play defense, that we can just try to break things up.
And just going off of what she said, they're a great passing team. They make reads and stuff. So it's it's a little harder to scout them than other teams because other teams they have their play and that's what they're going to do. We know that's what they're going to do, and you can't play the play with UConn. You have to use defensive keys to be able to stop them, if you will.
John.
John Altanoff from the Hartford Current. Just to expand on that, they have 5 players in double-figure scoring, but they also have 5 players almost with 100 assists each. What does it require in terms of prioritizing who to watch? It just seems like it's a task that, how do you go about it?
You can't key in on one person because, like you said, they have 5 players that are capable of getting it done. So like I said before, you just got to, go off of our defensive keys, making sure that we're jumping to the ball, that we're talking. Communication is going to be really big in this game because they make reads, and we have to be able to adjust to everything that they do.
Pat?
How much does the familiarity help you guys? A lot of people come into this building and they're intimidated from the get-go. You guys have such a history with them. I assume you're not you respect them and are not intimidated. So
Yeah, we definitely respect them and what they've done, but are we intimidated? No, not at all. We come in ready to play. They're just right now they're another team that we have to try and get by, and that's how we're going into it. We just want to make sure that we do each and everything that we can do. So we got to communicate. We got to execute on offense. We have to make sure that we're doing everything defensively, just so that it'll be a great game.
John.
You scored a lot of points in high school before you got here, and now it's time for the next step. Are you ever curious about how the WNBA is looking at you and whether they followed you and what they might think of you? Because in 3 weeks you're going to find out, what it's all about. Does it excite you to spend time thinking about it?
Yeah, I'm definitely curious because that is one of my goals. That is one of my aspirations in life is to play in the WNBA. So, yeah, I'm definitely curious to what they think of my progression throughout my 4 years and whether or not they feel that I'll be able to help them. And I think I will be because I feel like even if I'm not doing all the scoring or anything else, I think that I bring a lot to the table. I think that I will communicate. I'm going to play defense. I'm going to rebound, and I'm going to score. And I think that I bring a lot to the game. So I'm curious to think what they have to say.
Anything further for the student athletes? Okay, thank you, Kahleah and Betnijah. You guys can go back to the locker room. Just under 25 minutes left on the open locker room. Right now, we'll open it up for questions for the head coach. Start with Pat.
Being kind of the same question, how does that familiarity going to help your team tomorrow night?
Well, the question was, how is that familiarity going to help us? It is in that, as they said, I mean, we're not surprised defensively or offensively. We know that they're great, they're big, they're tall, they do all those great things. But we've played them many times. Do we have the answer? No, but are we in awe? No, absolutely not. Not in playing this many years. I mean, I knew we were to go in the locker room and everything else. So we're kind of like, came up the road and we're getting ready to play this great team. So what else is new?
Right in the front here.
Steve Kahleah from the Star Legend. Just curious if you were aware that if all of Gino's accomplishments, you still have the biggest defeat in his career, beating him by 32 points in 1989. Are you aware of that? And do you remember anything about that game way back when you were in Iowa and he was just getting started?
You know what? I think we came here. Is that I think he asked me to come here, and we did. And he reminded me that we screened so hard and did so many things that he was able to build on. No, I didn't remember the 32 points. Maybe that's why he continues to get after us now. But no, I don't remember that. But I do remember playing them, and we did defeat them. But I also remembered in that same year that they went on, I think, to the Final Four, and we didn't. So that's an amazing thing.
Right in the front.
When you hear the players talk about how they're not going to be intimidated tomorrow, I mean, is that something that you like to hear?
Well, that's what we must hear, and you know what? I am able to tell whether or not the words are hollow. If they're looking like lights are on and nobody's home and they're kind of like out there somewhere. But I don't think so. I think that they're anxious to play, but we fully know this is a great team. But I love their courage, their attitude, and respect that and expect that we're gonna step out there and we're gonna play basketball. Gino has said this 1,000 times, and I know this. Any team that comes in and is in awe is down by 20 points right from the beginning, and he knows that we don't come in awe. Now we might be down at some particular point, but it's not because we're in awe of UConn. Period. Half of those players Betnijah has played against, and she's played against Morgan Tuck. She's played against the big girl. You know I'm talking about. Bria. Yeah, I mean, she's played against her. So this is not something that, wow, she's so great. They are great. But what I'm saying is that she played with USA Basketball in Argentina. So come on. We know. We know these guys.
John.
Vivian, does Laney have the inherent scoring ability that Cappy had or Prince or some of the other great players, the backcourt players you had. Does she have that in her?
Who?
Betnijah,
Betnijah?
yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Betnijah has something real unique, and that is she is the most focused player. And I've had, you know that, with Cappy and Betnijah Javon and Prince and so many of the other outstanding guards that we've had. Betnijah is a different being. She's the most intense player. And these other guys are really intense, and they bring it every game, every practice, but she, without question, everything is personal to her. You just almost want to back her off a little bit. But she works hard on that game. She's insulted when she can't do something, and she is going to find some way to get it done. And she exceeds everybody in that category. Believe me, she exceeds everybody. She's going to be special. Somebody at the next level is going to get a very special player. She has it in her, it's that it. I think that you could even tell last night, she was determined. She's going to get that rebound. She's going to knock those three down. She did so much of that on her own during the summer. She worked, like in high school, she was an inside player, and she wanted to be able to handle the ball. And so she handled the ball better, and each year she got better. Her vision and the kinds of decisions that she's making or that she has made has been outstanding. Her growth from her freshman year to her senior year is probably the biggest margin of growth that I have seen when I compare all of those players. And strangely enough, the difference might be Prince, who couldn't play a lick of defense, who ended up being the Big East defensive player of the year. But Betnijah, no, she's made the greatest amount of growth from her freshman to senior year.
Did you ever sense any frustration in her that she wasn't able to score the way she did in high school when she first got here? I mean, because she scored thousands of points in high school. Did you sense it?
Yeah, but all of them, all freshmen do, because they expect that they're just going to do what they did before. But been there, done that. Every college coach has every game they can tell what your strengths and weaknesses are, and if they don't get better, then they're going to make a difference. You can see a difference between a freshman in college and a sophomore in college, and that if that sophomore doesn't get better between those 2 years, there's going to be a difference. Betnijah, what I'm saying is that Betnijah has gotten a whole heck of a lot better, but in high school she didn't handle the ball as much as she is now, and she didn't have people as big as she is, and that's the difference. There's a lot of things that we're learning, so every player is frustrated, and that's probably why a lot of kids transfer, because they think, well, I scored 50 points in high school, why am I not scoring that per game? Well, you're dealing with a different, so she is just a great competitor, period. She's fine. She's fine now.
Second row right here.
Vivian, if Sayesids can't play, what kind of challenge does that put on Bree to play as many minutes as she did, and Tyler and Parker to handle the ball more than they usually do as like an off guard?
Well, Essence won't be playing. Sayesids won't be playing, and that's not good. So I won't even just even pretend that she's going to play. I wish that she could. There's so many times that I want to reach down and say, just put the uniform on and let's get out there and get it done. And even yesterday would have helped just to give Bree and you saw where Sharita came in, and she did a great job. But then you could see the freshman in her show up as well a little bit. But it does put many more minutes on Brianna. And then you saw us also switch in to have Tyler run the point. So we've got to do whatever we've got to do to have people switch roles. And that's why I also made the statement that 2 games ago we played all guards. There were no posts. And then it almost seemed that we had to do that because only 2 days ago was Rachel able to even practice. So I'm happy that she was able to spend the 25 minutes. We definitely need her in this game coming up. But we're going to be stressed, and we just need to be able to get ready for it. That's what being a team is all about.
15 minutes left on the open locker room. Right here, and then we'll go here.
Coach Roger Cleveland from the Waterbury Republican newspaper. As someone who prides herself so much in defense, how do you stop a team like UConn with 5 legitimate scorers and 5 kids who can have 100 assists before the season's over?
That's special to have 100 assists. We were telling our team today, there's no point in trying to have an idea, a conceptual, or to understand their offenses, because it's precise. It's dealt with. You're dealing with concepts. These kids have great basketball IQs. They pass the ball well, which is the first thing that has to happen if you're going to be a team. Lots of people can individually score, but they can't pass it to anybody else. What he has great players that can score, they can pass, they can shoot, they've got range, they understand spacing, and they understand concepts. And when you have that, hey, that's why even more when you talk about how do you stop them, especially when you're talking about all five of these people that can do that, then you can't rely on any one person. How could you do that? So what we've got to do is, if we're dealing with man-to-man, we have to deal with now legitimate man-to-man principles. If we're dealing with zones, which is one of the questions that I had this morning when we went over the tape, I saw a few breakdowns and I wanted to understand, what were you thinking and why did this happen? Because we don't need to have that same mistake take place today. Not that any one of those things, the only cure-all for a Connecticut kind of team is to play great man-to-man defense, because zones do this or that, but they don't take care of everything. The great thing about Connecticut is that they are this and that players. They can hurt you inside, they can hurt you outside. They can hit those drives. Although it's Mariah Jefferson that's doing that kind of attack, but these other guys read real well. So we're going to pick our poison and try to keep them off balance and do any number of things. And over the years, that we've been known to be zone teams. And then more recently, we've been much more of a man-to-man team. And I'm not sure how we're going to handle that this time because of the size and because for us to switch, for example, a small guard, a Sharita Parker at 5'6" on someone like Stewart, who, come on now. So we'll figure it out. We're going to try to figure out something.
Right in the front.
You mentioned it in passing at the press conference the other day, but did you get a chance to see the new facility across the front line? And what did you think if you did?
We had an administrative meeting inside. And first of all, I thought that it's a real tribute to Connecticut because they deserve to have that. They deserve to have the best facility in the entire country when you think about the success that the men have had as well as the women have had and the fans that continue to support this university. It's only fitting, to me, it's only fitting that's there. I was surprised that they were able to get it so close to the arena. And no, I didn't get an opportunity to go through it all, but you can look on the outside and know that, yeah, this is where the home of the national champions are, and Gino deserves that, and Coach Calhoun deserved it, and Ollie, I'm sure, deserves it as well. So, I know that everybody here agrees that there should be that kind of tribute to this team and to this state, and the fans deserve that. I was glad to see it.
In the back.
What's your favorite moment coaching against Gino?
Well, the few times that we won, what do you think? First of all, it's interesting because I'm really basically shocked. First of all, I would never wear red. If you looked at my life prior to coming to Rutgers, I would never wear red. So believe it or not, I've been kind of reserved and subdued. And so for me to dance between my sisters and I and my brothers, I'm the worst dancer. I have no rhythm. So when the kids get me to move a little bit, that's something. When we beat Connecticut, I danced. So, obviously that's when you want to, that's the moment. And actually, I should tell you that I remember Kia Vaughn, who was the post at that time, she said to one of the press, one of our people in the press, that she is a freshman. It didn't matter if she scored or did anything simply because she was a freshman. And I couldn't believe she said that against UConn. So, we called her out on that, and I think she showed up a lot better in that game, and I think they were a little surprised with that.
Front.
With the breakup of the Big East and everybody going their own which way, there's been a kind of a loss of rivalries in the Northeast. It's been kind of fun watching you guys play Seton Hall, and now you and UConn. What can be done to get Northeast basketball back to where it was when there was a Big East and everyone was driving down the road to play each other.
Yeah, and that's sad because it was St. John's, Seton Hall, UConn. It's just a little ride down the road, and then you're back home. And the fans were able to enjoy it, and the players knew the players from the I don't even need to get into this thing with the conferences, because there's much more recognition. I think with the fans and certainly with the players to recognize areas of the country, and those kind of natural rivalries, and what can be done about that, given the things that are happening now with the RPI and the number of games that are being played, probably the recognition as we have, and I know that UConn has it as well as Seton Hall, and probably St. John's and the rest of them. That we need. UConn doesn't have to worry about it. I have to worry about to make sure that we keep our RPI where it needs to be. So as long as Seton Hall's is where it needs to be in that, and that we also are able to, with the 14 games that we play, that we have to make a commitment. So whether it's all 3 of those games in 1 year or at least every other year, because what I know we need to do is we need to hit a flavor with SEC, the ACC, Pac-10. For example, Stanford called and they wanted to come out here. I was inclined to do that even though we didn't schedule that game yet, and I'm not sure that we will. But my thought is that when it comes time for the NCAA to make a decision about where or if Rutgers should be one of those schools invited, I'm thinking that if we could knock out the teams within each of these conferences, then we have a better shot of getting in and into the NCAAs. So yeah, it's kind of good in a way, and I guess we're going to have to work on that. We were scheduled actually with UConn, I think, last year, and then we had to cancel it, and I'm not sure the reason why, but we did. I know that Seton Hall would like to play us now, and I'm not saying that it's not going to happen because there's a possibility that it is. I'm not sure. I think that we probably have 1 or 2 openings, perhaps, and I need to look at that. But I said to you before, historically, it makes sense. And for rivalry, it does make sense. Look at this. All these years we didn't play Penn State, so now we're playing Penn State. All these years we didn't play Maryland. That makes sense. We needed to play them, but they happen to be within the conference, and so we'll see what happens.
Anything further for the head coach? Back row.
Pete Doherty, Albany Times Union. Can you talk a little bit more about the specific matchup with Stewart, and if you play man-to-man, how you might try to contain her?
Well, we have one of 2 choices. We either have a center play her, because any way you shake it, she's going to end up in the paint, and the only person that can even begin to handle her has got to be a center. There's no point. And anyway, even if you think about it, Betnijah can't play her. Size-wise, it doesn't make sense, especially when you got Morgan Tuck, and you also have Lewis. I mean, both of these are big people as well. So we will have to have a center playing her, and we have to be real careful of any switch that we would have. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun. You guys are going to miss her when she leaves.
It's time for one more question if anyone wants it. Okay, thank you very much, head
Thank
coach.
you.